What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Welcome to
Hello,
another
Internet.
episode.
Woo!
Right.
Woo!
Welcome to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS. It's me and the nerds here. How's everyone doing this week? We're good?
Yeah,
Much,
excellent.
much better.
Good.
Excellent.
Good.
ChatGPT hasn't offended you yet this week, so
Not yet.
No beef with ChatGPT today.
We're
Or
lucky,
yet,
we're
so
lucky.
to speak. So yeah, that'll be next week. But yeah, guys, we'll be today's episode is another one of our what if stories. So we'll be delving into another one of our what if theories and our stories we're going to get into. But before we even talk about what we'll be doing with our what if story, let's let our guy DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Make sure that you go to your favorite website. Get your best fan fiction on what ifs right there. Nerdcyclopedia.com. Yes.
Ooh.
You will also get your favorite social media platform at Nerdcyclopedia on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. If you're listening to us on podcast, we are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, also that notification button, so anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. If you're watching us on Facebook, thank you as well. Make sure that you give us a follow, share the group, and also join the Carbon Out Bounty BS, a Star Wars group, where you get all your favorite memes and also everything Star Wars related that we talk about. Leave us some feedback too, nerds at nerdcyclopedia.com. We love getting your feedback and also getting a response and everything for it.
Well said,
DP, I love the way you transition your voice from like YouTube subscribers to Facebook. You know, it's like Facebook subscribers, they're so much more elegant than YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, them YouTubers, man. I mean, they're down and grimy and gritty and stuff.
They are really like they're legit. If you really want to know what the public thinks of you, look at YouTube. Facebook, it's too flowery. I mean, too many guidelines, too many rails, and
too many restrictions.
Do you think there's too much? So you think there's too much of a restriction of what people post on Facebook? You think that
really?
That is too?
Really? Did you say that? Did you agree?
Is that what you're thinking?
Oh,
I'm just curious. I just want to make sure that what you think is that people are not posting crazy enough, wild enough stuff.
Facebook is like what we need in our political system. We need just like Facebook.
You don't think that maybe we got some of that at some point, Ken? That maybe we got a little bit of Facebook in our peanut butter, so to speak.
Oh, in our peanut butter.
It's crunchy.
Okay,
Facebook peanut butter is crunchy.
It's definitely not smooth.
No. So I want to just ask
nothing smooth's ever happened on Facebook.
Not Jiffy,
No, not Jiff. Skippy.
Yeah, Skippy. All right.
So is Palpatine dead at this point, or is Mace dead?
Well, we got to let them know exactly what we're talking about. What are we talking about here, T-Dot?
Yes. So as far as today's episode, we're going to delve in our thoughts on what do we call this? The Partridge Family. You know, our Star Wars take on the Partridge Family.
Oh, yeah. The Walton, Little House on the Prairie,
Little House on the Prairie,
Adam's Family.
Adam's Family, maybe. I mean, he does. Well, I don't know. In this story, he only has a cut off hand, so not that bad. Maybe his hand can be the thing, right, or whatever the hand is.
Possibly.
So who knows?
There was a whole bit on like Arrested Development where Buster's hand got cut off, and they were cutting back to like, oh wait, no, that's Hot Tub Time Machine where that guy's arm's gonna get like cut off, and they keep cutting back to different bits, and they're like, oh, it's gonna happen. Maybe that's something we know is gonna happen for Luke because we're purposefully not changing that. We know that for sure. He is destined to get his hand cut off. We can just constantly put it in jeopardy.
Not necessarily, because for this moment on, Father's Day is going to be different for Luke. So let's make sure we back this up. Because this was my initial what if. Like, this was the first thing I went to when we started talking about this. This was my go-to. What if Luke and Leia were raised properly? But now we have to ask ourselves, since we had that other what if, like, is Palpatine dead or not?
Well, it doesn't have to be canon to what we did previously, but you know, I mean, we have room to play around with it.
We're standing in the world between worlds. We're looking in the different portals.
Yeah.
Seeing the different outcomes.
Initial start of this story. So the way I always thought this should go is that we're not fighting now dark and light force. We're now teaching both, because that's what we have. We have the best of both worlds here. So we have the ability now to create, maybe I don't want to go like super being, but I do want to go with a higher intellectual being, because now we have a family that has the best of the best of the best. Padme has the diplomacy side, the ability to coerce, and she's very charismatic politically, and Anakin has military prowess. So now we've got these twins, which are both now force sensitive, but they can be moved either direction. But why not both ways? Why not give them the training of both dark and light? And let's get rid of the Sith completely. Let's just X them out and say we're going to truly balance things as Anakin was supposed to. Let's bring balance to the galaxy.
I would honestly say that's very optimistic, but
very optimistic.
It's a what if. It's a what if.
No pun intended.
Is that what you're saying in this universe? Can Revenge of the Sith just never happen? Like,
Yeah, we're doing away with it, because now we have the ability now to bring, like I said, balance. And now we can bring rest to all the upheaval. But we have to find out where the aggressor is.
Yeah, I was about to say, where's the conflict? That doesn't sound very fun.
Let's
talk. You're trying to cancel like the last 7 episodes of Star Wars.
He's making us this is very Disney-esque. Very, no pun intended. This is Disney.
On Disney Plus, though, I mean.
No, bro, this is you talking about fantasy land.
Here's my pitch for a start to this, and I will give myself the courtesy of putting myself on the spotlight, because I control those things. So I will do that. So for me, I want to say that a very plausible reason that they could end up raising these kids and not being connected to the interstellar drama that is the Star Wars is if Anakin's relationship with Padme is exposed and he's kicked out of the Jedi Order and she resigns from the Senate, and they run off to some obscure planet where they raise the twins and try to be moisture farmers or something of that sort somewhere, right? In my mind, this turns into some sort of situation where, like in Afro Samurai, when the guy that had the 2 bandana, everyone keeps trying to kill him to take it. Like, everyone just keeps coming after Anakin because that's what Palpatine tells him to do. He's like, well, if you want to be my apprentice, that's what you got to do. You got to take down Skywalker. And Anakin is just, Anakin. He's unstoppable, right? You can't. So every so often he has to just go and have this duel with some wannabe Sith apprentice, and he just like gets more and more tired of it. And I would think that those conflicts would have a big impact on Luke and Leia as they grew up. That's my starting.
It's like a road warrior type of thing. Like, they're just off on this little tangent and doing their own thing, and like the whole galaxy is now going to like focus on this family for what reason?
So it's Palpatine, since it's almost like his apprentice tried to escape, but Palpatine is a little bit upset about that, and he doesn't know where Anakin is or whatever, but he sends these warriors to try to like find him, and Anakin fights him off. So Palpatine is sort of like is still in the picture, but
he's returned.
Yeah, he
somehow
he can still have the Empire now, because we didn't need Order 66.
Well, let's say that's another thing. When we should probably also discuss like another plausible way they could leave is during Order 66 or the fallout of Order 66. And we could say that maybe Anakin did turn, but then decided just to say F it and run and just go to Padme and get off planet. And Palpatine was like, well, there's a lot of confusion. He's just kind of gone. So that's another way we could do that. Or we could do it where they just run away very early in the Clone Wars, right? We could do it so they just were never really involved.
If we go the light side, right, I think that would be the better route to go. I mean, I guess we can do the fact that he would be a hunted Jedi. I mean, if Order 66 would happen still, it would happen different, very, very different than what we've seen. But I mean, he would still be a plausible, even if he's not part of the Order, he's still a light side Force user, so he would still be hunted. So that we can kind of go that route if that's the way you guys want to do it. That can be, because you're right. It would have to still happen to some extent. Some people would have to defect. So it only makes sense that they were to be in some planet out of the main system that.
So we got the story that they stay in it. Let's say, just example A, Padme becomes Chancellor. Anakin becomes leader of the military, as we've kind of built it to look. We kind of build it that way, or like Steel City said, they just break off and run. They just cut the leash and bolt. Take the kids, which they're not born yet, right?
I mean, it depends on where we set the story, right? Because we could always we could set it. I mean, because we could just say this is what happened and then set it in the era where Luke and Leia are 20.
So we could say they're both 5 years old.
Sure.
Okay.
I can't. I mean, we can set it we can absolutely set it then. That sounds
okay.
Or we can even have like an opener that's like a cold opener that explains the differential. Then 5 years later, or.
Because that's a great age. Like 5 is a great age of development, and it's a point where the child can be really molded in a particular way. So we could say.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say. So we have A, they stay in their positions in the Republic as we kind of know it. B, they run. They just turn tail and run. So they're not even part of it. And like DP said, Palpatine's chasing down Anakin because he's like, well, that's my greatest defeat. That's my biggest mistake. Yeah. So he's fighting him down.
The one that got away.
What would a third scenario be? Like what could be a
third scenario could be that they run off, or that they continue to, kind of occupy a similar space. So like Padme stays in politics and Anakin stays in his new occupation of Sith Lord of the First Galactic Empire. You know what I mean? Which takes a lot of his time, and they just don't work out as a couple.
Yeah. Work. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So they were. So, are you saying they were co-parent? But not just not be the twins still come about. We
might have some custody things going on here.
Yeah. How about the custody thing?
Well, Anakin might put his thumb on the scale as Darth Vader. The judge would start pronouncing things in Padme's favor, just be like,
yeah.
Interesting. So that would be reality. That would be how things would really work.
Empire custody court. It's all about, Padme's just like, he lives on in a lava castle. It is not baby proof at all.
Children can't see his face.
Not baby proof at all. He killed all these kids and everything. So I don't know.
I saw it. He told me he killed all these kids on Tatooine. He's just like, this was in battle. It was in the military. And he's like, the children too, and the women.
Okay, so that's good. I like those 3. I don't think. I mean, do we need a 4th? Do we need like a?
No, I think the 3 are. The last one is kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah, the last one could be like actually what happened. Like that would be what would happen.
That's if we want to go the humorous comedy route. The second one I think is probably a little bit more plausible, but I mean I'm willing to do that third one if we can think of some.
If the fans want it, if our public want to see like
Spaceballs too.
This is an 80s sitcom, as if from as if they made it in the 80s, right? So we have, so Han Solo is going to show up. I think Luke. I think it's going to be when like Luke's maybe a teenager hanging out in their basement. There's like a group of friends. The Han's involved. Chewie's involved. I could see that working out too. Maybe they're living the suburban posh life on Coruscant, and they get sent out to Tatooine because their parents get ejected from power because Palpatine completes the Death Star and he doesn't really need an heir anymore, or a Senate. But the Senate is closed. They get sent off.
I see this big argument between the two, Anakin and Padme, on how they should raise the kids. I mean, it definitely should be some big blowout. They have two opposing views of how.
So you guys don't like the idea of combining the two, like making these like light dark side.
I don't think
Did you guys play Old Republic, the game?
Yeah, but your guy is ass if you blend them. You got to go either light or dark. If you use both, nah, man. The character's pretty ass.
Everybody knows you do two playthroughs.
Yeah, you beat it, one light side, one's dark.
Yeah, or you save it and do it again and again because there's one character that makes you do like a real annoying side quest that doesn't have any real reward, and then you come right back as the dark side person, and that's always satisfying.
Have you ever played D&D? You could take a character and at any moment be chaotic evil or chaotic good. And as long as your DM was okay with how you were going to play it out, depending on what what you were doing, like if it was an intellectual thing, like if you were trying to muse someone and get information from them, you would use the light side. You'd encourage, you'd be charismatic. If you wanted to get information that wasn't working the other way, then you could go to the dark and extract the information. So it depended on what you were trying to do. If you were fighting, you'd use the dark side, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd fling people up to the ceiling and cut them in half with your lightsaber. But if you were trying to negotiate, you'd use the light side. So you could make a powerful statement if you used both.
I think if it was somebody else, that would be plausible. Anakin, being as emotionally charged as he is, I don't think he'd be able to control both, let alone teach his children to be able to like harness both sides.
Even with the element of Padme not dying taken out of the picture.
Yeah, because he already is like a raging teenage ball of testosterone, right? So he's already like, I'm charged one way or another, and I don't think, like, based on if we take out that element of her dying, he's already one of those. I mean, we saw him in the Clone Wars, how kind of brash he is, right? I think he's too charged, which, in turn, maybe that's why Windu was the way he was when it was time for trials, right? If you really think about why they said he wasn't ready, I mean, he was pretty charged, like, loose cannon-ish. It's kind of hard, you know what I mean? Look what he did before then. I mean, we're talking about he killed children, like...
More than one. We have documents. More than once. He got caught.
There's video.
How many times do you think he did it when nobody was looking?
He would be up there for Dad of the Year with Mando off the bat. I mean, those guys both, I couldn't imagine what they'd be doing off the bat. When Mando got Grogu, I mean, yeah, they'd be both fighting for Dad of the Year early.
Just imagine a whole sequence of Palpatine like kidnapping the kids and Anakin like cutting his way all the way into the heart of the Empire, taking the kids and just being like, bye. Like just leaving with them. That could be fun. That could be a fun like one shot. I don't know.
But Ken, your idea, the second scenario to me would be like a better dark side scenario, right? So if he rose through the military and she rose as some Supreme Chancellor, that like screams like dark side, right? Because with all this power, then it would make them ultimately flip and basically take over the galaxy, as he said, like on Mustafar. That was the goal, is for her to become like a chancellor and he become some,
military leaders. So do you think the kids would be torn between the two?
Yeah, how would
or would they be drawn toward one or the other? Like,
it'd be interesting because now the fact that he would know that there's two, I mean, essentially it could be like the rebirth of the Sith. It'd be like another. I mean, there would be two. I would imagine they would follow his path as the dark side, so there would be it would be a master and two apprentices. So it's almost like a Sith rebirth that you can kind of do.
And imagine that if you kept the family together, right? So Luke bonded with Anakin. I mean, let's just assume. And Leia, because she does end up being a great diplomat. I mean, that's her gig. So they continue to rule the galaxy in this aspect that Leia continues to rule the Senate and control politics and control how the planets react to each other, and Anakin just is the police and builds this force that basically no one's going to stand up to it. There's just no hope. So it's not a new hope; it's no hope.
I just got the craziest story just passed through my mind, man. It will be like ultimate. So if we do this story right about Anakin and Leia together, take outside of what we know as the original trilogy, right? We have to add in the fact that there's new content. So
Right.
Ahsoka now exists, right? In my mind, somehow Ahsoka kills Padme, like either like
She's
Professor
jealous.
Professor love for Anakin at that
Yep.
point,
What?
or like it becomes some because bro, it was already kind of awkward.
Very
the changes
awkward.
were awkward for them
Yep.
for a while. Becomes like the master pupil thing. It was almost like teenage love kind of. Maybe it was just me, but I was always kind of like, I don't know. She had like the hard eyes every time she got around Anakin. To me, it was just always like weird. So,
And I was going there, T. Mitch. I was getting there. I was like, well, now
it's like the jealousy thing, right? Like the jealous.
to bring in like new
have
story.
Ahsoka's alive, so yeah, at this point, so there. I mean, she would have to be involved in this. That's her master. That's like somebody she's, near. She would just stop talking to him. You know what I mean? That'd be weird. So it would have to be like almost like a love triangle, so to speak.
And so what happens? So Ahsoka fights Padme. Big battle. I mean, we're
Or
talking
she tries
like
to-
Empire Strikes Back level.
I don't think that
battle.
would be a big battle. Like it
No.
would be a big, like a tense scene, but not like a big battle. No, I don't see Padme
was
making it.
scrappy.
No.
Padme was scrappy. You got to remember her when she escaped from, when Attack of the Clones, when she escaped from that monster. She was the only one that could. Obi-Wan and Anakin were both like, she's out already.
But Ahsoka's like one of the top 10 killing machines in the galaxy.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
I mean,
she has two
we could-
lightsabers. She's not getting away from that.
I don't know. I
And so-
wouldn't
and the
make it. I
Force
wouldn't make it a flash
order
in
in
the
the middle
pan.
of
I
the-
would make it a fight.
Yeah. If anything, he would go to strike her down, and Anakin would get involved, and we'd have like another Mustafar scene, like Anakin versus Ahsoka, and like somebody got to die at that point, right? Like
Here's an interesting
And
possibility.
Obi-Wan's on the beach, like eating popcorn.
What
That
if we
I'm not
split the
involved.
twins up, and Leia stays with Padme, but Luke goes with Ahsoka?
So, yeah, that would be nice.
But
It's kinda
why? Why would that happen?
What? And Anakin comes after Ahsoka and Luke at some point.
Or, like you're saying, we can go along this, and it would be kind of along the lines of the original one. Padme starts to notice like Anakin's like becoming some like controlling asshole, right? And like a little bit crazy. So she's like, I need to get Luke away from your dad because I don't want him to become him. So like it's like that kind of like the Bail Organa thing, right? It's kind of like full circle that, hey, I need you to take care of Luke and get him the hell out of here.
So Ahsoka doesn't fight Padme. Ahsoka helps Padme out, takes Luke out of danger.
We could do that. It's kind of like the Bail Organa type, or the same thing as on Luke with the Lars Homestead, right? It's the same scenario, right?
We could still go back there because this is the thing about one of the things about Star Wars that doesn't make any sense because you would imagine like if Anakin Skywalker was trying to hide his kid, he'd send him to Owen Lars. We'd send him exactly there. That's one of my questions is why, I think it's one of the questions we have about the series is why didn't he bother looking there or checking back in that one specific place?
Who doesn't go to their hometown like to get info, right?
Not once, not even just to see. Like if this and the kid's name is Skywalker, like he's around, you would think, hey, okay. But he could Anakin could send him there. Right? So that could be the case, or Padme could send one of the kids away, or Padme could be trapped with Anakin and Luke, and Leia could be like the secret one that's off away with, or like Bail or the Jedi or something like that. You do it the other way too.
So that's interesting. I like, so we're developing it a little bit now. So we're going with scenario 2. Padme stays with the politics. Anakin stays with the government, the military, and now Ahsoka shows up all of a sudden, jealous rage. Confronts Padme. Padme's like, no, wait, I'm kind of afraid because Anakin's a real a-hole, and I think he's going to try and mind flay Luke. Can you take Luke, train him properly, and I'm going to take care of Leia?
I don't know, but you would have to address the rage, the jealous rage of Ahsoka at that point.
Right? Yeah, if we don't do the jealous, like I don't know, like third wheel, we can take it down the route of like Anakin's just becoming too like emotionally charged with this whole military thing.
Right.
So if we want to do that,
I want to go back to Disney. I don't want to get like Bravo with it. I don't want to get the whole like third like love triangle thing.
So we can keep it that way as far as like Padme is like, look, like, and like it kind of brings, like I said, the story full circle, right? Because it was the same concern she had. Like she would like hint to him like, bro, like you're losing it. Like what are you doing, Anakin? Like why? Like you killed kids. Like why are you acting crazy like this? It's the same thing, right? Like she's like, like why are you getting so charged
around kids?
Why
acting like a hockey player on steroids all the time. Yeah. It's crazy.
Why are you going to Camino to like try to build a clone army? Like for what? Like.
But these questions that she's asking would make sense because she's in the government. She's politically, that's her thing. Like right? She's aware of all this, so she knows why he's doing it. She knows the reasons behind developing a clone army, because you need an army, and this is the easiest way to do it. And I like the idea of the clone army better than
is it though, Ken? Is the easiest way to do it to have the president's secret friend pretend to be a different, shady governmental figure from essentially the CIA?
Yeah, it works right now.
Go and order this clone army and not tell anybody else ever until it was done, and then just expect the Republic to pay for it when it desperately needs it, and it would have had to have been put into motion way before the war ever even started. So there was never a war in the planning when you're talking about
if you already have like the best tool right in front of you, it's already there. You're gonna go develop a new one. You're gonna go like spend thousands of dollars and develop a new tool to do the same thing. You're going to use the one you already have.
Is the one you already have like millions of clones of Jango Fett?
Yes.
Okay.
And eventually they become Boba Fett.
But I like the idea that all of those clone troopers, like Anakin, would keep them. You know what I mean? Anakin Skywalker, general of the clone army, would they would love him like an emperor and like love his family, right? They would just be like insanely crazy loyal to all of the Skywalkers, which would be probably a huge advantage to them when they eventually attempt to topple Palpatine.
Exactly.
Once Luke and Leia are like 20 years old. I think that's the story. Yeah. Is how they do it. They attempt a coup d'etat against Palpatine way down the line, and how deep do they have to hide their family? Like Anakin and Padme have to find a way to separate, and have to find a way to keep the kids safe. And then
when Palpatine finds out that this ain't gonna work, and they are all going to turn against him, imagine the surprise on his face.
Imagine the look on Moff Tarkin's face when he gets the order to just go after Darth Vader with whatever means necessary.
I don't even I don't think my boy Tarkin is in this picture. I mean, if he is, he's not doing what he's doing. I mean, I think at this point, this what if changes everything. Like we have a whole new Star Wars story.
How does the Empire feel about Luke having Anakin having a baby?
The Empire? The Empire is not there.
That's not a secret to Palpatine, right?
Yeah,
so like there's Palpatine, so Palpatine knows.
Yeah.
So Palpatine knows. So how does that affect his
It's kind of like the Ben Solo thing with him and Snoke. Like he's going to try to like corrupt him at some point, right? Yeah. That's going to have to be like one of them, Luke or Leia, is going to try to get in either of their head and see who he can. Because think about it, it's now 3-on-1, right?
And what ages are we talking about Luke and Leia being?
At any age, right? I mean, he was in Ben's head at like 8. You know, he was starting to plant the seed.
So this has been happening for like how long now? You know, Luke Palpatine has been going after Luke for 8 years, or
and he's been going after Grogu since he was born. Like as soon as these Force-sensitive characters come into being, Palpatine is after them because he wants what's inside them.
Well, he's also, you know, there's a biblical tradition in that when Jesus was born in the Bible, King Herod of the
ding ding ding, his just historical.
Yeah, you didn't put that on there. Put the banner up.
Come on.
Yeah. Ding 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 ding.
Is this really history though? That's a loaded claim.
Oh yeah, let's take history out. It's just
all right. So this story is from it's from the gospel. I can't remember which one. I'm not going to look it up. But basically,
John 12 verse 11.
When the guy who's actually the king of Israel, right, gets word that somewhere out in the the provinces, that the future king of Israel has been born, he orders the assassination of every baby that's under like 1 year of age, every male baby, right? And it causes the Holy Family to flee to Egypt. This is the Egyptian flight. So that's something that they would. So like if Palpatine says, well, we're going to kill all the Force sensitive kids, and then Anakin and Padme take off. That would be analogous.
So that would be the Empire Strikes Back section of our new canon, right? Because that's the real dark. That's the real dark. Everything is all the happy is gone, and the family's been split up. So Palpatine has discovered that there's this male Skywalker who is definitely going to be more powerful than him, and he sends this new Order 66, and every single clone trooper is now after Luke Skywalker. So where's the best place to send him? The Outer Rim. Boom. Now we put together. Now imagine watching this on Disney Plus. Us. And we're like, wow, they just brought it all together for me, man. I just got this. Now I accept this. This is great. Because now they brought everything back full circle. I like that. And I like that you did the drop of the Egyptian fleet. That was great. So perfect. Loved it.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff to kind of like to piece together almost in my mind, because I'm thinking like, I mean, there's so many ways to take the story. Like, so in this last idea, so we're just going to say that. So has Ahsoka taken Leia at this point? Is that what we're going to go with? Ahsoka's going to train one of them, right? She's going to take one of them into hiding.
I think she should train Luke.
Yeah, I see that more than her training Leia.
Because Leia was Leia. It was a little more. She was a little lesser Force in tune than Luke. Like she had.
That story was also written in 1977, so that's not.
Okay,
we can change that.
Let's say they're equal.
They are. They're basically equal. I mean, because we go full circle to the final when we find out that she's arguably more powerful than her brother was. So
we say they're equal, but she's the only one of the two that can literally create life. So
Yep. Good point. And she was the only one that brought herself back from the dead.
In a weird and bizarre way.
Yes, in a very weird and bizarre. So I'll keep the new trilogy as far as Leia's story. I'll accept that whole piece that she is actually, I mean, she's floating in space and dead, and she brings herself back. That to me is...
Come on, man. This is the movies you guys were like, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Come on, Ken. Stop.
At this point, since we're what-ifing this stuff, I can take pieces that I do like.
But your ratings are looking real sketchy right now based on what you're telling me. Your ratings are sounding real sketchy.
Somebody's going to get sentenced to rewatch the sequel trilogy. I just feel...
Okay, all right. Let's do it.
Better watch out.
Boom, boom. Let's do it.
How is Padme feeling about Ahsoka splitting up her kids, even though the one is like I guess in danger?
I think it was her idea. It was her idea.
It's her.
It would be. I mean, it would kind of. It's crazy because when we discuss this, it literally it's like we try to what if it, but then it always comes full circle because it's the same thing like with the whole Mon Mothma, right? Like it's just like this story keeps like intertwining, it's almost like we're like in George's mind, or we're like this part of Filoni. Like it's crazy when we think about trying to remix it. It all kind of like comes central to the same kind of point because they keep
back to
why
they keep colliding. Yeah, the stories keep colliding.
Yeah, because it's good story writing. It's good story writing. It's natural, and the conflicts and everything that you ask, like in stories, you want to ask those questions. You want to know why, you want to know who, you want to know when, and you want to know where, and then you want to finally answer all those questions you had, and the story does it. So no matter what we do with the what if, we're always going to get back to the
And then, but if you want to be just like adventurous, I don't know if you necessarily want to split the twins up, because that's what they end up being done anyway. So, if what T. Mitch is saying that everything just comes back full circle, yeah, I mean it would be if we're splitting up the twins again,
But what if instead of Leia sticking with Padme, right? I mean, what if we send her to Obi-Wan Kenobi? What if we send her to Yoda, to one of these other Jedi trainers that we know are extant and would be known to the circles that she runs in, because she can't hide her Force sensitivity anymore?
Yeah. Sending her to Yoda would be a huge change, because he was the one that first sort of enlightened Luke that there was another. Right? He was the first one to know that there was another, that Luke wasn't. So Luke is lost completely. He can't train. He's not focused. He's a complete waste of time. No, there is another. That's what he told Obi-Wan. So Yoda would be a great. I love that. I love the idea that if you're going to split them up, we're still going to split the twins up. I would send Leia to Yoda for training.
It's crazy when we talk about this story and like what you said, and it's like it's a little bit off topic, but we're kind of story building. Why couldn't they just do that? And it's 1970s and the 1980s, right? That makes the perfect arc for Rey being Leia, right? And lays out 7, 8, 9. If you really think about that, like what we just said, that lays the groundwork for 7, 8, 9 perfectly, and then you can do the story.
Yeah, because the years are right, aren't they?
Exactly. It lines right up. So, because Rey was a maybe late teen or whatever. So yeah, that would make perfect sense if they continue the story the way it was. So that would have been really cool if they were to stop that theme, is what you just said, and kind of rolled Rey being Leia or Leia being Rey.
Interesting. I would have bought that. a little more than the way they sold it initially.
Ken, you're killing yourself, man.
I do kind of like the idea of then Palpatine just making 80 kids, just having lots of clones. And just being like, well, you can have kids, I can have kids. And then, so many grandkids that he doesn't even think of Rey as
what's crazy? That we just did, I mean, it's crazy that we're discussing our storyboard and it kind of ties in with the prequel trilogy. Like, it's just crazy to me that and I don't remember this because I really don't care about him. His son is a clone, right? In the real, like, 7-8. His son's a clone? Or, like, why? I don't understand why he couldn't conceive a real child. I get he's old or whatever, but still, men can, right? But so, was his son a real person or a clone? His son's a clone, right?
I think it was a Palpatine clone. I mean, I think,
like,
but
like, it just doesn't, like, why wouldn't you just make us, you know what I mean? Because if you're thinking about, like, oh, young Skywalker, so he created, like, why wouldn't you do that too? But like I said, we already have our own stories about that. The more I think about our story, it makes me, like, wonder, like, how the hell 7, 8, 9 came into, like, fruition, right? It just doesn't make sense.
They should have talked to us first.
Yeah, and paid us some money.
No, they could have
$50 a piece.
We could be the man in the high castle.
They could have just wrote a linear script and then just had 3 different people direct it, like I thought they were doing. Not like, here's your idea, here's your idea, here's your idea, and then we'll get, like, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni 5 years later to come try to, like, stitch this broken ass
fix it.
This multiverse timeline that's been cracked. We'll try to get them to piece it back together.
It's very Pulp Fiction-y. That sequel trilogy. It just feels like a bunch of stories that could be from any time. Not really. It feels so disjointed.
Like Tales from the Crypt episodes, like your weekly Tales from the Crypt. It was like some other shit, right?
Hey guys, like, that would be that thing on Jabba's shoulder. Hey guys, I'm here to tell a story. It's just like,
Salacious Crumb.
Yes, Salacious Crumb is the host of this. We're gonna have some real wild Jedi stories.
I like there were tons of those in the new in the Mandalorian. They used those a lot, whatever that creature was.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk about what kind of aliens and what kind of I mean, imagine all the great scenes we could have with, Padme negotiating with all these different like races of beings and Anakin wanting to see, well, how can my lightsaber cut these things in half? And there could be this. I mean, there'd be some comedy too. A lot of options for like lightheartedness because there's a lot of that in Star Wars. There's a lot of that.
Mine is on murder all the time.
I will pitch a montage to you. Montage. All right. Padme is negotiating with a species. She's begging them to listen to her. They say no. Cut 2, Anakin shows up with all the ships. Cut 2, Padme negotiating with another species, begging them to, they say no. Cut 2, Anakin.
No.
The song, Layla by Derek and the Dominoes, outro, just like Goodfellas with bodies everywhere.
Yeah. But how many negotiations do we get this? Because they're like
10 in a row, and she's just like, and she's showing them pictures
think
of
about
it.
This. Because we're saying she's Supreme Chancellor at this point, right? So she's basically,
because
she's in charge of everything.
She's like the opposition leader, so she would be. I don't know. I don't know how long she'd have a public profile. Definitely, maybe as long as Organa. So until episode 4, so she'd be like a Mon Mothma confidant. Right. I imagine they'd be in the same faction, right? Mon Mothma gets to like 13 years here. Mon Mothma gets.
Yeah, she would have to like almost align herself with the Trade Federation. Like she'd kind of be like the under. She would have to be. She'd have to align herself with like the Hutts.
Yes.
She would want to, because think about it. That's what Palpatine was doing. He was strangling them out to fund his stuff. So the opposition would have to be. She would have to them.
Can do it. We know she can do it because she bonded the Naboo and the Gungans.
We're not bringing.
She can do it. Yeah, she has the ability to bring two completely opposing sides together. So she's going to be the. I'd like to see Padme being in charge. Padme being Palpatine.
Padme being Palpatine. Oh, that's
yes. I see her being the the supreme being, the one that's actually pulling the strings of the whole show, and Anakin just kind of cleaning up the riffraff, the ones that aren't really falling in line, like the Hutts, like the banking guild. We can never trust people that control money, ever.
The opinions expressed by Anakin Skywalker do not necessarily reflect those of Nerdcyclopedia Transcontinental Podcasting Incorporated.
It would be cool if we sucked this and we kind of written this new trilogy, but like I don't know. If you were to go down that route, Ken, it would. If you want to have like the female big bad, I would almost want somehow Leia to become like because she's so stubborn. Like with even we saw her in the series, right? You know how she's like her mother.
Yep.
So like she would become like the Supreme Chancellor. So she'd be like the Sith Ultimate. That's what I would feel because she's stronger in the Force than Luke. So if anybody's going to like seek ultimate power, it would have to be Leia.
Yep. And that series we watched, the what was that called on Disney Plus? It was the Sith, but it was both. The girl was a painter. They always used female visions.
Yeah.
It was always a female character that was really the power, and I kind of dug that. I liked that idea that. And that girl figured it out. She was painting this thing, and she realized that it's both. It's both that needs to complete the picture, not just light, not just dark, both together. And that's what makes a great painting. That's what makes a great sculpture. You have to have both sides of the picture. That's kind of what I was thinking about this whole what if. You can't just be dark or light. You got to be both. You have to be able to control both. And Leia might be the hero here. She might be the one that becomes the supreme being. The one that really everyone's either looking to follow or looking to kill.
I don't know. That sounds decent. The tough part is though, is like, where would she gain the knowledge to handle both? I would say that would be my like whole thing because
from her parents.
Obi-Wan's against it. But his mom is not force sensitive, so that wouldn't make sense for you to train somebody who can harness the dark side. Leia can't be like, don't force choke that person. You know what I mean? Like the only people that would be alive to even really do that would be Qui-Gon Jinn, who was like dabbled in both. Mace Windu, only fought with the dark side. Ahsoka, we call a great Jedi, but she really wasn't because she had no dark side in her. She was just a defect. So she really isn't a great Jedi. She's just a Jedi outcast. So it would be hard to like have somebody balanced in the Force. You know what I mean? It's just hard to like to portray that character being like the embodiment of both sides of the Force.
So that's an interesting. So we're on to something. Like, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if you could use both sides of this really elegant power to manipulate, control, or negotiate and encourage like others instead of just using it to like destroy an entire civilization or
remember but we discussed that. That was in Rebels. That's what the Prime Jedi were, right? I mean, that's what when we saw the different beings. This was all in Rebels about even in this movie they're doing. Remember the original Jedi? There was balance. They fought with the dark side. They had lightning and they had lightsabers. So it was like it's almost like resetting. What it is to be, not really a light side or a dark side user, but a perfect embodiment, like you're saying, of the Force. We would get rid of colors at that point, right? And she would be like an empress, but not a Sith empress or a Jedi empress. She would just be an empress that is like the final boss, insanely powerful because she's the perfect embodiment of the Force.
What's her name? Crazy. What is her name?
It would be she'd just be Empress Leia at that point, right? But I mean, like, it's like
she might choose a different regnal name, I guess. But she's already a princess, so probably not.
She would be Empress at that
Leia.
point, right? If she runs it, so we
Empress
she would make
Leia.
some badass name, you know. It's like you're saying, we can come up with some badass
Because
self-titled
that makes
titled
sense,
name.
because even through the original storyline, Luke was kind of he was kind of like, I'm not the one you need to really worry about. It's somebody else. His hologram to Jabba in Return of the Jedi was like, I'm not the one you got to worry about. I'm just here negotiating. But who broke into Jabba's palace and actually stole Jabba's prize? Leia.
She choked him with chains.
She definitely has.
She chokes that guy to death.
She choked bro out to death with chains. Like, how vicious can you?
Yes,
How vicious
she rots him like a moth, like Bruno,
exactly.
like a.
So she and she had the best outfit of anyone in the entire Star Wars movie. So yeah, she pulled the chain over. She choked Jabba with his own chain. So I think this is we've got it. We figured this out. Leia, Empress Leia, actually becomes ruler of the entire galaxy, the known galaxy, whatever that is. That's from Dune. Like, we could say universe, but known galaxy is better, because none of these people are actually ruling anything outside of the galaxy. It's always the outer rim, the inner rim. So we're just talking about whatever galaxy this is. And Leia becomes the supreme being, the supreme ruler. However that happens,
we're having time jumps. Sounds like
sure.
I mean, even if we did even if we expanded it to even a further story, I mean, just think about it. If she's the supreme being, she would want to have children, right? So then once again, somebody like Ben becomes full circle, because she would want offspring to carry her legacy on, because as we know, is the human species, we can't live forever, so that would make sense that she would want.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Well, yeah, that's just
and she
true.
would definitely choose.
I don't have
Han.
a back to take yet.
She would definitely choose Han, because Han had really great, strong elements of not only just prowess, fighting, military. I mean, he could do anything. He could figure stuff out. He was like a MacGyver. He got himself out of situations. So he would be a strong male character. And now,
would Anakin approve of Han though at that point, if he's still in their lives?
Anakin at this point is like on his high tower, and he's just like living the dream. He's whatever. He's keeping on. His wife is now ruling the galaxy, and he's just making sure that stays intact. He's not worrying about it.
Okay.
It looks like you got a lot to work on.
You might have to watch the podcast over again.
I probably will. It's all right. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I mean, do you think we have enough to really next week even have a story? It's almost like I feel like we even need to because we've done a storyboard today, but it's almost like we kind of almost still need to figure out a direction, because there's all these ideas, out there, but
yeah, but writing with ChatGPT is sort of it's kind of like reading tarot cards or whatever. You know what I mean? It's I should be able to craft some of these scenes, and then we'll be able to put together into something that's pretty cogent, I think. And then it'll look a certain way. And we can end with Leia trying to take over everything, or trying to kill the Emperor, or trying to kill. We can end there. And, I think we can get it there. But I can make it do 300 different. I can make it do 100 different options for every scene. It doesn't tell me it's tired of it, or it's sick of it, or doesn't want, or quit it, or it's the same as the last one.
You can whip it, it'll still keep going and everything.
Well, we're certainly not saying that artificial intelligences are, we're using them in a servitude relationship. That's not how it works. It's collaborative. They're using our information to train themselves, and that's how it should be seen as an equal thing.
I think you should start with, Anakin and Padme are now raising the kids. Padme sees potential in Leia that is more beneficial to her than Luke. So she begins to concentrate on bonding, training Leia. Ahsoka shows up somewhere. They're like 8 or 9 years old and says there's the jealousy piece, but Leia squelches that pretty quick and says, hey, I have an idea. I want you to take my son, train him the best you can. I'm going to hide Leia from my husband, who's become
an asshole.
He's a little off. He's a little bit off. And now we have this story that's now kind of ballooning. I guess they call it that. So when a story like develops, they call it's like a balloon, and it expands in 2 different directions. And I mean, from there, let the algorithm do what it thinks is right. Because I think what's going to happen is Leia's going to continue with her mother. Ahsoka's going to take Luke and train him, control him a little bit. Anakin is going to spiral.
So that's just what he does.
Yes, that's what he does. And he eventually becomes like what we saw at the end of Rogue One. We saw this like completely demented, twisted, uncontrollable. You can't talk to him. You can't negotiate. You're getting your guts slashed out of you. And I think that's where the story kind of picks up, where we're talking about it, because at that point, Anakin's like kind of the weak link at this point. I mean, honestly, when you have to go that far, I mean, you become you're useless. You don't have anything left.
The only hole in his story though is if he doesn't get cut up, like ultimately, like he is the chosen one. So like, if he doesn't get if Mustafar doesn't happen, I don't think anybody stops him, including the Emperor. Because if the Emperor doesn't corrupt him, bro, he's that strong that he's running through everybody, right? Because we talk about it all the time. When he got his arms and legs cut off, he can't even use Force Lightning or anything. Like, he's so depowered that if that never happens, bro, he'll destroy the Emperor. The Emperor is not stopping Anakin.
We'll see.
With the rage he has in him. So it's one of those, the to be continued.
We'll see what the algorithm will let me do.
Yeah.
It may be like, that's a naughty premise. We shouldn't just promote stories of violence where one is slashing a lightsaber into another. We wouldn't want to have children think that's acceptable behavior.
Would it sound like that? Would it sound like the Prime Minister?
When it's being super
England?
I think that's what's great about ChatGPT. It can have any voice you like. When it's being prudish like that, it does sound like the Prime Minister. I will not perform this task for you.
Or one of Monty Python's greatest skits. We are the knights that say me.
All right, look at the time.
All right, let's go pick out some
fun stuff. Definitely fun. Okay. So yeah, a lot of interesting things this week. We've left a lot on Hitch's plate, so we don't want to. I mean, his plate's already overfilled. It's like, it's Thanksgiving, right? You got the mashed potatoes running the mac and cheese, and everything's touching. He does.
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough. We don't have a divider plate big enough to put all the stuff we put on Hitch's plate.
He'll eat logistics.
He would need he would need a plate that has 12 different sections. That'd be the craziest divider plate.
Luckily for all of us, I've always just traditionally been able to eat my face off, so we should be pretty.
There we go.
Pretty good.
That's good. So I guess suspense will be we will basically, as we did last week, come up with a script that Hitch alter it. Typically, what we're going to do, we're going to post it for everybody to be able to read and digest. And then we may come back next week while you guys are digesting it. If everybody has time to write it. We may not have as a long show as we usually do, but we'll probably do news and notes and just general discussion while you're working on that, because I don't want to read. It takes time for it, so we'll do general discussion next week on Star Wars news and while everybody's reading that, and then the following week is where we'll do our story breakdown. So we'll give Hit some time to work on that. Next week we'll meet up and just, I mean, all kind of Star Wars news and notes, all kind of fun stuff. I mean, just real quickly, there's, I don't even know what to say because I don't want to get us in trouble on the internet, but the backlash on Ahsoka, all this stuff is coming up. Like, it's just, what I mean, the Twitter warriors are out, the keyboard warriors are out, so to speak, and everything's starting to leak, everything's starting to come full circle. I guess that open world game nobody's happy about. It's wild, It's wild where we are. So we'll definitely have a discussion, catch up on some things.
Whatever script Steel City comes up with, we're going to read it live, and we're going to do the right voices. So, DP, you're Leia.
I will do my best.
ChatGPT is going to get us all in. ChatGPT is going to get us in trouble with this writer's strike. They're going to. Everybody's going to be looking at our podcast like they're still writing scripts.
Sure.
Like what?
They're still writing scripts.
Well, look, somebody's writing it.
Writer?
I don't know who.
We're just combining it,
It's so weird. Yeah, I mean, all art is derivative.
ChatGPT is not a part of the Writers Guild, so it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
I mean, they better sort this stuff out, because if this is the infancy of this technology, it's going to be ridiculous. Like in 5 years, it's going to be ridiculously good. So we'll see.
Well, they have, based on what I'm understanding, at the end of the month, so they have till the 30th of June to basically ratify a deal. And it's kind of like, when they do those NBA collective bargaining agreements and whatnot. So I guess the 30th of this month is the big day to see, like, if they're going to come to an agreement or not. If not, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I just recently saw that with the writer's strike, I guess actors are now taking a stand. So there's stuff that's written that they will not produce in film because of the writer's strike. So it's getting pretty crazy.
You're also taking a stand against the Hollywood man.
Yeah, it is. And ultimately, it's going to start affecting the studios, right? And it's going to hit everybody. I mean,
it's going to be all reality shows all the time.
Right. So
the nature of labor relations are to constantly be in flux.
There we go.
Right. For sure. But yeah, guys, as DP always says, stay peeled to our Facebook group. Please give us some interaction on there. If you guys have any input as well as Hitch is writing it, please interact on the group. Say some things. We take everybody's thoughts on board. If you want to email us, as we have on the screen, email us at nerds@nerdcyclopedia.com. If you're in your car just listening,
do it now while you're driving.
Please.
Don't wait.
Don't wait. That's the email while you're driving.
Only in a Tesla, I will say. Please do an email. But, yeah, guys, always interact with us. Before we go, we're going to say it as we always say as well. Like, please smash a like, right? So, really want to get our interaction on YouTube going and definitely getting some feedback for people that do watch it. So, please smash the like as you guys leave with us. But until next week, this is the way.
This is the way.